Bonjour, bonsoir, bienvenue, salut, welcome, welcome to another Radio New Manchester podcast. This is Richard, the owner of the New Manchester YouTube channel. And before I start this third edition of Radio New Manchester, there's a lot that's happening in the news, and I won't be able to talk about all of what's going on in the news right now. So I'm just going to focus on one story, and it just happened yesterday, and I tried to make a Radio New Manchester podcast recording of what went down between the South African president Sylvia Ramaphosa and U.S. President Donald Trump. So I had trouble making that recording last night. So now tonight I'm going to be doing this. And tonight it is 11:42 p.m. It's Thursday, May the 22nd. So so let me get this started. Okay, all right. You saw the title of the video to this Radio New Manchester podcast recording. Okay, the title is Trump Ambushes South African Leader with Claims of Afrikaners Being Persecuted. And this is from the BBC. So let me go ahead and read this. A meeting met to soothe tensions between the U.S. and South Africa instead spiraled as President Donald Trump put his counterpart on the defense with claims that white farmers in his nation were being killed and persecuted. On Wednesday, a week after the U.S. granted asylum to nearly 60 Afrikaners, a move that ranked South Africa, President Sylvia Ramaphosa visited the White House to reset the country's relations. Instead, Trump surprised Ramaphosa during a live news conference with widely discredited claims of a white genocide in South Africa. He played a video showing an exhibition during a protest of several crosses lining a road, claiming they were burial sites for murdered white farmers. Trump said he did not know where in South Africa it was filmed. The crosses, in fact, are not actual graves, but appeared to be from a 2020 protest after a farming couple was killed in Nasa province. Organizers said at the time that they were in an exhibition representing farmers killed over years. Before Wednesday's White House meeting, South Africa's leader stressed that improving trade relations with the U.S. was his priority. South African exporters into the U.S. face a 30% tariff once a pause on Trump's new imposed taxes ended in July. Ramaphosa hoped to charm Trump during a meeting, bringing along two famous South African golfers and gifting him a huge book featuring his country's golf courses. The meeting came days after the arrival of 59 white South Africans in the U.S., where they were granted refugee status. Ramaphosa said at a time where they were cowards. Still, the Oval Office meeting began accordingly until Trump asked for the lighting to be lowered for a video presentation. The move shifted. Ramaphosa keeps cool during Trump's coordinated onslaught. South Africans divided on Ramaphosa's mauling by Trump. Is there a genocide of white South Africans as Trump claims? The film featured voice of leading South African opposition figures Junior Melasa singing Shoot the Barrow, Afrikaners, Shoot the Farmer. It then showed a field of crosses, which the U.S. president, taking over the images, said was a burial site of white farmers. He handed Ramaphosa what appears to be printed out of stories of white people being attacked in South Africa. Trump said that he would seek an explanation from his guests on claims of white genocide in South Africa, which has been widely discredited. Ramaphosa responded to the opposition's claims in the video saying, "What you saw, the speeches that were made, that is not government policy. We were a multiplicity democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves. The government policy is completely against what Malasa was saying even in the parliament, and they are a small minority party which is allowed to exist according to our constitution." On Wednesday, Ramaphosa said that he hoped Trump would listen to the voices of South Africans on this issue. He pointed out the white members of this delegation, including golfers Ernie Els and Reftus Gonson, and South Africa's richest man, Johanna Rupert. If there was a genocide, these three gentlemen would not be here, Ramaphosa said. Trump interrupted, but you do allow them to take land, and then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them. No, Ramaphosa responded. The U.S. leader seemed to be reinforcing that Malasa and his Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF party, which is not part of the government, have the power to confiscate land from white farmers, which they do not. A controversial law signed by Ramaphosa earlier this year allows the government to seize privately owned land without compensation in some circumstances. The South African government says no land has been seized yet under the act. Ramaphosa did acknowledge that there was criminally in our country. People who do get killed through criminal activity are not only white people, the majority of them are black people. Referring to the crosses in the video, Trump said the farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. South Africa does not release race-based crime figures, but the latest figures show that nearly 10,000 people were murdered in the country between October and December 2024. Of these, a dozen were killed in farm attacks, and of the 12 was a farmer, while 5 were farm dwellers and 4 were employees who are likely to have been black. Speaking to reporters after the Oval Office meeting in private conversations with Trump and his team, Ramaphosa said that despite the issue of genocide claims having come up, he believed there is a doubt. He believed there is doubt and disbelief about all of this in Trump's head. He said he hoped that hearing from other members in his delegation who spoke about their own experiences in South Africa would have been helpful. I'd like to see this as a process, he said, adding that he expected to meet Trump again in the future, mentioning the upcoming G20 conference in South Africa in November. Claims of genocide in South Africa has circulated among right-wing groups for years. In February, a South African judge dismissed the claims as clearly unimagined and not real when ruling in an interference case involving a donation to white supremacist group. As Trump pressed the issue, Ramaphosa stayed calm and tried to work his charm by making a joke about offering a plane to the U.S. He invoked the name of anti-apartheid icon Nelson Mandela, saying South Africa remained committed to racial colonization. When a journalist asked what would happen if white farmers left South Africa, Ramaphosa deflected the question to his white agricultural minister, John Steenhuisen, who said that most farmers wanted to stay. But Trump kept firing vassals at Ramaphosa, who avoided entering into a shouting match with him, something that happened to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky when he met Trump in the same room in February. After the confrontation, Melissa mocked the meeting, describing it as a group of older men meeting in Washington to gossip about me. No significant amount of intelligence evidence had been produced about white genocide. We will not agree to compensate our political principles on land exploration without compensation for political expediency, he posted on X. Patrick Gambson, a former U.S. ambassador to South Africa under then President Barack Obama, called the meeting truly embarrassing. It is clear that a trap was set for the South African president. There was every intention to humiliate him, to embarrass South Africa by extensions, he said. The head of South Africa's most prominent Afrikaners interest group told the BBC on Wednesday night that there was real issues that needed to be addressed when asked about the Trump/Ramaphosa meeting. Asked whether Informal, a South African NGO representing Afrikaners in the country, helped make the video shown in the White House Oval Office, CEO Karen said the group had used some of the video footage in some of our videos, but in terms of that specific compensation, we did not make that. Okay. And that's it. That was embarrassing. What Trump was doing to Sylvia Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. Yeah, he tried to pull a Volodymyr Zelensky on Ramaphosa, but it backfired. Ramaphosa just stayed calm and just joked about, giving a plane to Trump. And, what Donald Trump did in the Oval Office and being ignorant over the lie of white genocide in South Africa. Um, you know, what Trump did was very childish, very ignorant. You know, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, it just he's just making a fool out of himself. You know, and these White House meetings with leaders from other countries are just getting more awkward and more awkward and more awkward. And I found out that Donald Trump has was born with, well, he's autistic, or he was born with Asperger's. I don't know. And I also heard that Elon Musk, the owner of X and the owner of Tesla, was born with Asperger's. So, I'm not gonna beat on these guys because of their disability, but Trump just embarrassed himself. I'm just gonna say that he just made a complete fool out of himself. And me as an American, I'm not it doesn't bother me because I just don't want to have anything to do with the United States. Period. Even though I live in this country, I'm just fed up with this country, and I am. I just can't wait for the day that I'm going to leave this country and move abroad. So, so yeah, it was just downright embarrassing. And before I end this radio podcast, it's I'm trying to think of something. What I want to say. I'm having a brain fart here. Yeah. Okay. Now I know what I want to talk about. In the previous audio radio podcast recording on this channel, I said that when I go to a country, any other country, I gotta be aware of the culture and customs of that country. And what I do in the U.S. will be viewed as, rude and just not right and strange. And, I just gotta just see how a culture is in a country and just mimic and copy what they do. So I won't offend anybody. And, I'm trying to force myself to talk more to people and speak more to people, and I really want to interact and connect and socialize with people in foreign countries outside of the U.S., outside of America, and I'm trying to do that. And also, I want to I want to talk to some people in my country and also in other countries. And yeah, but outside the U.S., I gotta be aware of customs and culture. I gotta be aware of that. And I don't want to be a Donald Trump and just make a complete fool of myself and and I don't want to embarrass someone from another country. I don't want to scare anybody from another country. So, and I got a sense of humor, and what's funny here in the US, I don't think anybody outside of my country will chuckle at some of the jokes I would say. So I don't know, But, in the world, all over the world, human beings, Homo sapiens. Some people have a sense of humor, some don't, and everybody's different. Everybody's not the same. If we live in a world where everybody is the same and think the same and do the same thing and talk the same, then this world will be boring. It'll be a boring world. But someone said this and said this. You can't control people. All you can do is control yourself. So if I come across someone, I see someone for who they are and how they act and how they carry themselves, then I can't control that person. I don't want to control that person, because the one person I can control is myself, and I'm going to control me, and I'm not going to try to control someone else. So in this that meeting between the president of South Africa, Sylvia Ramaphosa, and U.S. President Donald Trump was, it was incredibly embarrassing. The one between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump was it was like shouting and yelling, and the one between Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Trump, President Trump, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, just sat back and didn't say a word, and Trump just did all the talking. Trump just made a complete fool out of himself and just showed just how incredibly ignorant he is. And Mark Carney just sat back and said nothing. So Mark Carney avoided the trap that Trump set up for him. And Sylvia Ramaphosa from South Africa, the president of South Africa, he handled it in a different way, and he avoided the Trump trap. And he sat through that video of crosses on the side of a road somewhere in South Africa, and Sylvia Ramaphosa was very he was uncomfortable, and he just couldn't watch it. He wondered where this was at. I don't know what to say. Trump is just a complete jackass. That's all he is. So more jackassery and madness from the President of the United States for years to come. So, before I end this podcast, I want to talk about this, and here it is. Okay, I found something on France 24 English, or France 24, and it's about the Perrier scandal bubbles up as French Parliament slams cover up. Let me say this in English. For the first word, Perrier scandal bubbles up as French Parliament slams cover up. And this is in Gay Palais. The French government at the highest level covered up a scandal over the treatment of mineral water by food giant Nestle, including the iconic Perrier brand. An investigation by France's upper house of parliament said Monday. In recent years, the Swiss food and drink conglomerate has been under pressure over its Perrier and other brands as EU regulations strictly limit what treatments are allowed for any product marketed as natural mineral water. In addition to Nestle's water's lack of transparency, it is important to highlight the state's lack of transparency both towards local and European authorities and towards the French people, said the report by a commission in an inquiry of the French Senate. The report follows a 6-month-long Senate inquiry involving more than 70 hearings. This column is part of a deliberate strategy addressed at the first intermissional meeting on natural mineral waters on October the 14th, 2021, said the report. Nearly 4 years later, transparency has still not been achieved, said the report. Perrier, one of the most famous mineral waters in the world, obtained from a spring in southern France and traditionally served on ice with a slice of lemon, was acquired by Nestle in the early 1990s. Yeah, I buy Perrier or Perrier. Yeah, I drink Perrier, and I do. I don't drink it all the time. Sometimes, but not all the time. I buy it at the store, along with clearly Canadian sparkling water beverage. That's from Canada. So, yeah, I've been drinking Perrier for quite a long time now. You know, yeah, I'm drinking the fake bootleg American version. I'm not drinking the real French version. As a matter of fact, I bought a bottle of Perrier in Cyprus overseas on that 2023 cruise that I went on with my parents and my sister. Yeah, that Mediterranean cruise from 2023. Yeah, I remember. One or two times I put some lemon in a glass of Perrier. When I take a bottle of Perrier and pour it into a glass, then I take some lemons and I chop the lemons up and put them into the Perrier that's in the glass, and I drink it. So yeah, okay. Highest level of the states. In late 2020, new management at Nestle Waters claims to have discovered the use of prohibited treatments for mineral water at its Perrier, Herpert, and Colcosset sites. The company reached out to the government to submit a plan to tackle the problem in mid-2021, and the Elysee Palace afterwards. 18 months later, a plan to replace prohibited ultraviolet treatments and activated carbon filters with microfiltering was approved by the authorities. The method can be used to remove iron or MLEs, but the producer has to prove that the water has not been altered. European law supplements that natural mineral waters cannot be disinfected or treated in any way that alters its characteristics. The report said that despite the consumer fraud represented by water disinfections, the authorities have not taken legal actions in response to the 2021 revelations. It was at the highest level of the state that the decision to authorize microfiltration below the 0.8 microns threshold was taken, the report said. This is about the cover up by the French government over the filter of Perrier and other mineral water that's sold in France. Yeah, I just watched that on France 24 English on a show called The Debate, which is hosted by Francois Picard. And I watched this and I was kind of shocked at this. I don't know. I don't live in France, but um, I don't think we'll see. Well, should I stop buying Perrier? Let me see if this is going to get worse or anything. I don't know. Yeah. Um, I know for a fact here in the United States that tap water is contaminated. The water is very filthy and unhealthy. And I live near a small town. Well, I live in a small town. Well, it's not a town. It's an unincorporated census destination place. It's called Liberty City, Texas. And I get water from the Liberty City Water Supply Corp. And the Liberty City water isn't that great. I mean, it has a lot of solvent and salt in it. Solvent to use the clean parts of a refrigerator. And if you drink this water will give you hypertension. It's bad for your skin and it's bad for your hair. And there's some water that's all over the U.S. that's bad, really bad, even worse. Yeah, water that has like feces in them, fecal matter. I don't mean to gross any of you guys out, and that's why people are drinking bottled water. I'm drinking bottled water. Actually, I don't know. Like this guy on the debate on France 24 English said that people are drinking bottled water because people, I think the government or whoever is like lying to people about tap water. Well, I'm kind of confused, and I'm a person who thinks for himself, and I'm just gonna say this, the water here in the U.S. isn't or tap water. I'm gonna say the tap water isn't healthy at all. It's not good for you, and yeah, and climate change is happening right now in the western United States and states like Nevada and Arizona, those hot desert states, and there's like drought, like it gets really hot, and there's probably gonna be a lack of water like years to come. So yeah, and I'm not gonna rule out climate change. Climate change is happening. It's happening right now, and it's getting worse and worse and worse because us humans, us Homo sapiens, are the contributed factor to climate change. You know, so you know, yeah, the electric vehicles, and solar panels, they're good things, but they're not enough to combat climate change. So it's not enough. So I think that ship sailed. So yeah. Um. So So the carbonated or mineral water cover up scandal in France that France did the cover up to help Nestle continue making Perrier or Pellier and other mineral water brands and bottled water. So yeah, that big cover up, the big mineral water or carbonated water cover up in France. I don't know. I think I'm gonna make a decision that should I stop buying Perrier or continue buying Perrier. So yeah. So that's all I gotta say in this Radio New Manchester podcast. So that's that. Thank you for listening. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. Thank you.